Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Planning Board meeting, Tuesday, November 18th. The first order of business is the minutes from the last meeting.
Motion to accept the meeting minutes?
Second.
Okay. And have a general vote, I guess, on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
Right. Unanimous. Second line item is 81 Peace. Looks like there's none today. And we'll go right into number 3, which is the stormwater regulations.
So I'm sure you all fell asleep reading your stormwater regulations.
Riveting.
I guess there's a few things that I want to go over. If there's, I don't know if you just want to start at the top and kind of ask questions as we go, or if you guys have specific questions.
Maybe focus on the changes?
We haven't, this is the first time.
Yeah,
it's
this is
been-
our first, yeah, this-
Yeah. So, I mean, the definitions are pretty straightforward. The applicability, this is basically a change from what this was part of what the EPA wanted. Anything over an acre of disturbance requires a stormwater permit. And clarifies that the order of conditions and site plan approval don't count as the stormwater permit, which is how we've typically handled it. So there'll be a separate permit for any site that is greater than, disturbing greater than an acre. So the way I have it right now, and this, I can certainly change this but we're calling the planning board the stormwater, so there's the use of the word stormwater authority and planning board are strategic throughout this. The stormwater authority is more of a whomever might be the stormwater authority for any specific project. So if a project is going in front of the Conservation Commission but doesn't go in front of the planning board, the intention was to not make them come in front of you for just the stormwater. That we would handle it basically the same way we handle it now, I still do all the review, but in that case, the Conservation Commission would be the stormwater authority for that project.
Mr. Chairman, so one might think that you, as town engineer, might be the stormwater authority, but it has to be an entity that has votes to approve or disapprove. Okay.
Yeah, that was another thing, that the other regulations were written to pretty much give the town engineer, but I feel like, especially as these things get more, it's becoming a bigger part of what we're doing. It makes sense to me that we should have somebody other than just one
A
lonely
voting
person, right? There's, and the planning board and the Conservation Commission both, listen to what I have to say as it is right now and make a decision. So I think that's the more appropriate way to do it. I also, and this maybe in the future is something that we could do, but I think there should just be a separate stormwater authority.
It's getting that complicated.
Yeah.
That intensive.
and do something to wrap in, so like the highway department is partially responsible for stormwater, and then I'm partially responsible for stormwater. Now you guys are, and
Concom.
so, like, I think having a board that has a person from each of those entities that is, you know, making sure that we're doing what we need to be doing to meet the regulations and to protect the town's assets.
And theoretically, that entity would not necessarily have to meet on a regular basis.
Correct.
Sort of on an as-needed basis.
Yeah,
Huh, interesting.
that was kind of my thought, but, and
Are other towns doing that? I'm sorry, I'm kind of taking the...
Go ahead, keep going.
Are other towns doing that? Do you know? Is that, or
I
is this a
think
novel
more
idea
so
that Elizabeth
it's-
Manini has come up with?
so I think we've discussed it, and I think in a lot of cases, it's going to end up in this place where you have, like, we have fees proposed in here, but they're not utility fees that are paid for, like you pay for your sewer bill and your water bill. When you get into that kind of structure, then yes, that it is common to, well, it's not
Uncommon.
it's not uncommon to have, for Milford, it wouldn't be uncommon because we have a sewer board.
Yeah.
We have a water board. So if we have a stormwater utility, then it seems as though it would follow suit and have some sort of board. But that's just my thought.
I guess prior to this revision, who was considered that stormwater authority? Was it just you, or?
So the town engineer was responsible for it as far as the applicability of stormwater to designs. But the highway department is responsible for all of the stormwater as it relates to the infrastructure. And there's overlap, and it's
Yeah, 'cause
confusing.
you're doing I would say that, yeah, you're doing the engineering, the oversight, and they're doing as you said, the
Right.
infrastructure, which makes sense.
The problem is that there's a lot more overlap now. So the infrastructure, there's more engineering that goes into that and credits that we, especially the big thing for us here in Milford is phosphorus because of the Charles River Basin. And so starting to make sure we're maintaining all of these basins, and somebody has to certify them, and that would be the town engineer's responsibility, not the highway department's responsibility. That's why I say it's moving in that direction. We're not quite there yet. Scott and I work together on it, and he does what he needs to do, and I do what I need to do, and it works. So, for now.
Yeah, stormwater management, I assume has in recent years become more and more complicated and regulated and governed, and, yeah,
Yes.
and probably will continue to become more complicated.
It's not going away.
It is a big deal to our environment.
So I guess that was the first thing I wanted to make sure was that you didn't want to see every project, that you were comfortable with the Conservation Commission being the stormwater authority on a project where they were the only ones that were seeing the project.
And if I may, you're the constant.
Yes.
Am I? Yeah, I'm cool with that. Sound okay to you, Mr. Engineer?
Yeah, I mean, where we are right now, I mean, to be honest, I think, I know what you're talking about to a certain extent, and some of the other stuff, I'd almost like this town, but I don't know that they're going to go through. And this leads into it as to why we have some of the issues, is to go through government study committee, because I think the other way that we could do this is to eliminate this, but to go to a Department of Public Works. And combine all of these things and have somebody that heads that up, that would be responsible for all of them, and then they'd be responsible for setting that out. But that obviously is not happening today, and nor is that set up there. So where we are, right, this is fine, but it would be nice if it were a precursor to a lot of other different things that we really should be looking at as this town gets bigger that we don't seem to want to address.
Well, and that's, I guess that was one of the things I liked about the idea of the Stormwater Board, is to try and get people from each of these different entities that are involved with stormwater. And really, that could and should include the sewer department, because that is, while we don't have combined sewers, it's still, there's a lot of flow that goes where it shouldn't. Usually to the sewer and when it
And
shouldn't.
the thing that I think you have a problem with, again, we don't have a problem with it the way it is now, but if you're trying to do another board in this town, and knowing where this has gone over the past 20-something years, is that we have a tough time filling vacancies as is and getting people interested. Going to a permanent position within the town that has this is, to me, the way to go, because I've seen too many times where we've had people come in and out because it's advantageous for them to be now on here, and as soon as that's no longer the case, they're gone. And, another board that sets that up to be is not where I want to be, but again, that's me, and that's where I think we're going. But where we are right now, I don't have any issue with it.
I highlighted this because I'm asking for just 2 copies, hard copies and 1 digital copy. And we should probably revise the site plan review to not, so currently, I think it asked for like 9 copies, something crazy. And it doesn't really say that. So the stormwater report is part of that package, and we have had them drop off that many before. Not usually, but sometimes. So we should just remove the stormwater report from the site plan and just let it be required through here. So that was just a.
Yeah, I don't think
done
that
that
was ever the intent for site plan anyway, so.
No. But even when it goes to planning board and conservation, I get at least 4 copies, because they give 2 to planning and 2. The consultant's working on a application. That's what was a question for me. These are the proposed fees, which actually, when you were looking at the, did you guys review the filing fees at the last, for the planning board? I don't know, the consultant proposed these just based on what they have in other towns, basically.
These fees haven't changed?
Those fees haven't
changed in 12 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah,
Like, site plan review is probably way too low.
yeah. Have we, I'm sorry.
But but taking the stormwater out of there, I think, it's not as bad. So, I don't know if you guys think these are high comparatively to those.
Well, the town has traditionally, they've never tried to recoup staff's time with the fees, which may be an incorrect process, but that has been where we've been. It's not been to offset. We realize that, between you and town planner and secretary, that we spend way more dollars than what we collect in the fees. The only time that, we make sure is that if we go out for a peer review of any type, they pay for that. But other than that, staff review, has always been considered something that the people of the town of Milford pay for effectively. You know, maybe it's something that we want to look at in terms of, I'm not saying necessarily totally change that, but should there be a higher percentage that's met by the applicant on those, but we haven't done that. And looking at this, I would imagine you're gonna spend more time than what's in there in that point. So again, this is not to that level.
Yeah, and certainly, like, this says in here that it allows for, I think, two revisions. I mean, on big projects, it's more, and we're not getting any fees for the stormwater review.
Right.
So, I guess this is one of the bigger things that I want your thoughts on, because we do need to adopt these tonight, to meet our December 1st deadline.
Well, to me, I would say, my own opinion is leave them the way they are right now and leave open a further discussion of fees, maybe in the new year, to look at fees for planning board submittals as well as this, and say, okay, how do we want to do it going forward? But I couldn't tell you to change that right now to a different number and be confident that that's what I wanted to do anyway, so,
Right.
Excuse me. Pardon me. I'd like to see a survey of other towns. Have we talked about that? So-called
Yeah, it's a little
comparable?
bit harder to do with stormwater because it's kind of all over the board, the way each town is dealing with it, but yeah. we
And
can-
that's worthwhile, is to give us the all-overs, just so we know that where
Yeah.
they are with it.
Yeah. But definitely we should take that
And
up.
it's
in the new year
very
quickly.
easy for us to, that was the other big, as far as I'm concerned, the most important change we made was all of this, the stormwater regulation was a general, the stormwater bylaw was only a bylaw. All of the regulations were included in the bylaw, so any change had to go to town meeting. And that was one of the things that we changed here was the bylaw is more broad and covers the legal issues, and then it references the regulations, which are amended by this board.
So that answered that, because I know, we did that at the last town meeting, we had a vote, so that's where that pathway
It was created.
created to get to here. So again, being that this is just a regulation, we don't need to go to town meeting.
Yeah, and it makes sense to do it that, until I was on this side, I guess, I never really understood why you have two sets of what seemed to me like two sets of regulations, but town meeting shouldn't be voting on the technical changes of what's in here. That's more appropriate for a board like yourself. Revolving fund for consultants, so this is, again, standard practices. If it's a very large project or complicated project, then you have a peer review engineer work on it instead of me. They would still kind of report to the town engineer throughout the process, and then back to you guys.
So my question there is the 53E and a half versus the 53G. 53G is more for consultant services. 53E and a half is to pay you for the revolving fund. If they go off a peer review, it should be 53G. I just noticed that, sorry.
No, it's fine. I'll,
Towns have the ability to bill for extra services through 53E and a half if they use the in-house engineer. I just don't think town's been doing it that way.
No.
So we're talking about outside consultants, it's 53G.
No, that would go back to, instead of doing fees, we would have 53G for review of site plans and things like that.
Right, yeah.
This was initially written to really require a public hearing, which Matt and I thought was excessive. So we took out any reference to a public hearing and just has it as a public meeting. That was something,
The public hearing will be, I mean, for any of those that come down to that, conservation, there isn't, I can't imagine that many. Most of them are gonna be because of site plan where somebody's doing something, worried about drainage. They're gonna have a chance to do that anyway, so I think a public meeting is more than adequate for this portion of any development.
yeah, I mean, so as it stands now, site plan does not have a public hearing. It's only a public
Public meeting,
meeting.
yeah.
So it's sort of in line with what we're doing.
Yeah, yeah, I'm just saying that people at least will have their chance to
Oh, right,
comment
right,
on
right.
it in terms of drainage issues and stuff anyway, so whether they're here or at the
Yeah,
site plan, it's
and-
gonna,
And generally, there's very few instances where you have stormwater that's not a conservation. We don't, because the stormwater gets handled and it's almost always being discharged to a wetland, basically. We don't generally tie it into the town system or there's just, it's almost always goes to conservation, where the abutters are notified and.
That's where I was
so
going with
that's-
the butter notification.
That was,
That's what that look on my face was.
that's what Joe.
Wanting to make sure there was.
Joe was
some
saying,
butter
yes, there's
involvement.
definitely still, it wouldn't be,
If it's of any significance, it's going to end up in front of Concom in a hearing with a butter, okay. Yeah, I just didn't want
and
to.
it'll still be on these agendas, so it's
Yeah.
not like,
Can you think of an example where it would come to us for site plan review and this stormwater management was potentially controversial somehow, but it wasn't going to end up in front of Concom? Like, that's not a likely
I mean,
scenario.
redevelopment of an existing site that, that doesn't, I'm trying to think, like, no, it doesn't happen very often.
No, it
So,
wouldn't
because,
seem like it would, yeah.
There's just the, even where they did the car wash down on South Main Street, there's no drainage per se in that area, and that's a redevelopment, but it still needed a conservation
yeah, it's gotta
filing.
be
Yeah.
good.
So I would say it's pretty rare. If you're
Yeah.
doing across the street here, I want to say Spruce Street, and I know that's not right. Spruce Street.
Spruce,
Yeah,
yeah,
Spruce Street, where they're redoing the garage and turning it into the parking lot right across from 89,
Yeah, it's gonna be a meat market.
Oh, the meat market, yeah.
Yep.
The what?
the meat market. They're
Rosenfeld Tire.
Different.
Rosenfeld,
It's going
thank
to be a
you.
meat market?
Yeah.
Yes, across from 89 Main.
Okay.
So that came in front of the planning board for site plan review, and there's no wetlands anywhere. So that's,
Right. No
Right?
wetlands there.
but it's, the stormwater isn't gonna affect any neighbors.
What's the trigger then to ensure that if it doesn't come to us, that then Conservation Commission checks it over and they give their seal of approval?
So I already review it
Okay.
on their behalf. So it's really not, it's not changing anything that currently happens. It's really just taking it, really, I do my stormwater review as a separate piece, and then I report to this board and to the Conservation Commission. And sometimes one of you votes to close a hearing before the other, and whatever, I just work, as long as they don't both get approved before I'm done with my stormwater, that's pretty much how I handle it. So.
Make sure that we
And that,
don't.
and that's how, it gets submitted to me,
Right.
and I have to issue, I have to issue a permit. So it actually is gonna formalize it a little bit.
I would imagine this board, for ones that come before us, this is gonna be part of our review when we do a site plan review. We're gonna also be doing stormwater, if it falls under that, we're gonna be doing a stormwater approval at the same time, is what we would be doing, I would assume.
If it's applicable for that,
If it's ours.
for the site plan, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, as we just talked about, the
So-
meat market, because there are no
Conservation.
wetlands around there, it was just a site plan, no conservation. In comparison, well,
Even when it's with both, most of the projects like that you're dealing with stormwater are in front of both boards. In that case, you remain the stormwater authority. So basically, it takes it away from conservation. They're still gonna care about how
Right.
it affects the wetlands, but they're not gonna, it sort of shifts who I'm reporting to, that's all.
sure. And then
It clarifies it.
For example, the car wash then, down on South Main Street, that obviously came to us, that also went to
Conservation.
conservation for their approval on any effects from the wetlands.
Correct.
Okay.
So, yeah, and more or less, I just get asked, are you good with the stormwater?
Okay.
Yes, depending on, sometimes there's, more to it, but. For projects that are not otherwise subject to town boards or commissions, if it's a small enough project that let's say it's small enough that somebody's redoing, I don't know, say they have a really big house and they want to put a whole bunch of stuff.
A tennis court.
Yes, and they're disturbing enough area but it's something that doesn't fall under any board, it automatically comes to you for a meeting for stormwater permit only.
Right, because that would, being residential, it's not going to be site plan review,
Right.
but it still has the stormwater component.
Yeah.
So a meeting, not a hearing.
I mean, I don't know that I can think, I guess
I don't know if there's ever been one.
Not residential.
if you were,
We wouldn't know, but I mean, I can't envision one. I don't know anyone that had to disturb enough that would be doing it.
it would be difficult to do.
So it's 4 tennis courts.
It's just to make sure that there's somebody responsible.
So so let's do, if we could, walk through that residential tennis court concept. So is the person that wants to build the tennis court, what permit do they even need? How do we even know? How does the town even know?
So the tennis court is less ambiguous now because it does require a permit.
Right.
Because it's a sports court.
Yeah.
But if I
Long
just,
driveway.
if I
Okay, yeah.
I wanted to put a parking lot in my backyard because I have a lot of friends.
Yeah, you throw parties a lot.
Yeah, and I wanted to pave my whole backyard.
Okay.
I don't like mowing my grass, so I'm just gonna pave the whole thing.
Good example.
That's happening all over town. So then that would, in a lot of cases, that would trigger a storm, so
Does that person need a permit?
they don't need no. In other words, right now, you can pave a driveway, you can,
I could pave my whole backyard.
you can pave your whole backyard, and there's no permit required. As long as you don't exceed your open space.
Right. That's,
Okay.
And then it would be like a
and there's
variance.
been some that's clearly have, but that's besides the point.
Yeah.
It's really difficult.
I've seen people come pretty close to paving almost everything. That's talk for a different day. I get the feeling it's gonna be tough to, if that were the case, it's tough to monitor those types of things. I mean, you can obviously, if you see it, do a cease and
Well,
desist,
and
but
that's
people are gonna
exactly-
say, I knew nothing about this, how am I supposed to know? Because it's not a
And
normal
that's a fair
permit.
response.
But that's,
And that's
So no
really.
system's perfect.
Right. There's, the way that that we've been working with the stormwater bylaw, I guess basically is we apply it when there's a problem. And then we use it to say, I need you to fix something that happened, or, you know, like, I had a house that they had the downspouts all connected to one pipe out the back, which then went into somebody else's backyard. And
That's not ideal.
completely flooded their yard every time it rained. So, you know, thankfully, it was a good, there was a good contractor that was willing to, you know, help make the situation better without too much effort. But that's the kind of thing that, you know, where we say, all right, you're not allowed to increase your stormwater runoff to
Your neighbor.
your neighbor.
Shouldn't have to tell people that.
People don't know, you know, they want to,
Don't know
so,
where that water's going.
anyway, that's kind of where I think this would be applied more so than anything else. Plan changes that they need to notify basically me, because, so I can determine if the changes are large enough to warrant coming back in front of the board. We're allowed to go on the property. Project completion, this was from, Matt sent out the original one. This was a piece that was added, that the consultant added, basically at my request, was they were saying things needed to be done at the completion of the project, but they weren't saying what the completion of the project was. So this just more or less defines it.
Good.
At completion of the project, you have to submit an as-built. Deviations have to be noted. I was working on this morning. So the zoning bylaw requires an as-built plan to be submitted to receive a certificate of zoning compliance. So I thought it made sense to just reference that and have that as-built be the same as this as-built.
He's thinking
I
hard.
know he's thinking,
Yeah.
I-
Something swirling around.
accordance with the zoning bylaw, that's fine, submit it to the. I would think you'd want it to come back to you, no?
I do. The as-built plans show.
I wouldn't have it come back to the building department, I would have it come
No.
back to the town engineer. I mean, I think the requirements in 147 probably are fine, but whether they need that for building zoning compliance, that's fine, they can submit it there, but you want to make sure you get, plus, the one that goes to building zoning compliance probably won't be done for another months, could be years from when they could complete this, so I would just have this come back to town engineer.
So just say as-built plan in conformance with the zoning
So submit it to the town
bylaw
engineer.
submitted to the town engineer, period.
Yep. as to how the other, how the other one runs, let that run by itself, but this one, just let it go to the town engineer and get rid of the, yeah. I think that's cleaner.
Does that make sense to everybody else?
Yes.
GIS information, which is becoming more and more important. Stormwater permits, 3 years, that's pretty
Is that
standard.
pretty standard? I was just curious.
Yeah, like, your site plans are for 3 years, right? So,
I'm just surprised, yeah. If we should tighten that up, or we're comfortable with that. I'm just surprised,
I mean, how, it depends on how often,
especially with the ever-changing stormwater environment.
well, this is, if you start changing, if you think you're gonna change the meat of these regulations more often than every 3 years, then, yeah, we should shrink that up, but
Like, for example, how often are we seeing things coming down from the state level that are changing?
it takes them 3 years to accept the regulations that they draft.
Right,
So,
yeah. Okay.
I'm comfortable with 3 years, but
Yeah, we could leave it on to talk about later, but I wouldn't change it now.
Yeah, I don't see.
Yeah, I don't
any reason-
feel it needs to be changed. I just, point of reference and even
Yeah,
knowing
we've
that
done-
our site plans, again, are good for 3 years too. It might be something else to also, in my eyes, would want to discuss.
so they can request an extension. I put this in for the letter request to come to the town engineer. I don't know if you want it to go, I don't know if you want to see the permit before it gets extended, or if you want me to look at it and decide, and
Yeah, I think
I like
that's
the
fine.
second choice.
so then this should say.
Mm, 3 years.
Stormwater report contents. This is very standard stuff. A lot of it is the same as what's in the, and volume.
I got
that's
one
right.
thing, was,
Yeah.
up above, it says low impact development, in parentheses, LID, and then later in the document, it says LID is low impact design.
Low impact, what's the third, what's the
Low impact design, shows up.
design as
shows up
opposed to
later.
development?
Shows up later in the document under LIT.
I think they're synonymous,
Yeah, I figured it's just.
but, yeah.
Yeah, be consistent.
Page.
I would change it to development for both.
Yeah, page 9 is where it says LID. And it's page 10, item C,
Design, but the development.
low impact design.
They had it for 1 foot contours. I hate 1 foot contours, so I changed it to 2 foot contours.
Yeah.
If the applicant feels they can't meet any of the stormwater management standards or other requirements, then they have to provide an explanation in the stormwater report. That would be something we would go over. Operation and maintenance agreement. So what's different from what's currently required, there is an operation and maintenance, there's an operation and maintenance plan required right now as part of stormwater, but this requires, there is a document that's recorded at the Registry of Deeds that says that these are the people that are responsible for this project, for maintaining the system and submitting reports to my office. I think it makes sense to have it in here. There's very few instances where we really go looking for the annual reports at this point in time. But as we look to get more and more credit for phosphorus removal, we're gonna be looking at the private properties, and we're gonna need to get credit for those, for the phosphorus removal on those properties, and this will be significant then. So it'll give us the ability to kind of go back and say, well, this was in your, it's in your deed that you're supposed to do this.
Is there anything town council-wise that they should review in terms of submitting something to the Registry of Deeds to make sure that the wording is, for lack of a better word?
Yeah.
Make sure the wording is such that we're able to enforce it?
What I'll do is I'll work with the consultant and town council to come up with like a standard form that they can fill in. And then that can get recorded. So then the operation and maintenance manual is, again, already basically required, so it's not, this D here used to say something about it needed to be done before the final approval of the project, and I was like, final approval of what? So this was the, evidence of recording shall be presented to the Stormwater Authority prior to the issuance of the certificate of zoning compliance. Now,
That's what you're proposing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't love the wording because it sort of makes it sound like the building department has the ability to, or like we're trying to make it the responsibility of the building department to not issue the zoning compliance until, but I didn't know how else to.
Right. Right, what other marker would it be? Yeah.
Should it be presented to the stormwater agent instead of a board or committee? The document they'll be handing to us directly and staff.
Should there be a new document that applies to her?
Well, this is where it's supposed to be, but
No.
this has been a
So,
somewhat of a bone of contention for everything that we've done to a certain extent is, you know, once it goes to the building department, what's the control?
I just said to Joe kind of offline here, should there be like a new thing, a new document that the building commissioner needs to have before issuing the CFO, and that document comes from you regarding the stormwater? I mean, I don't want to add another layer.
we just have no way of making them do that, that's
Yeah.
all.
Even if it's in a regulation?
Well, we've run,
Even if
the normal thing that we run into problems with is an occupancy permit. Occupancy permit is part of the building code, not part of anything
Right.
else. So he issues an occupancy permit, and everybody, now, they should also have a certificate of zoning compliance, which is not an occupancy permit. It's
And the-
a certificate of zoning
and they're not-
compliance, which is where this should be.
Yeah.
I don't know that the building department in Milford uses that strongly enough to be able to stop people from occupying a building. But unfortunately, that's a problem that we've had for a number of years, and to me, this is the proper place for it to be. It's correct as is. The fact that it doesn't function all that well I don't think having it come to you would make any more sense, because you have very limited as to what are you gonna stop somebody from?
Right.
That's what you can stop somebody from.
Right.
So I say it stays here. If we find that we continue to have those types of problems, I think the discussion needs to go somewhere else.
Well, it's just a copy of the record too, right? And so who's the keeper of all those records? It's just the building department, sounds like, right? So,
For zoning compliance, yes.
right, so, which to that point would go to them, and they're in charge of the enforcement aspect anyways too, so. I guess, yeah, to that, yeah.
Are you good,
Yeah.
Matt, are you good
Yeah.
with that
Yeah, either
saying?
one, yeah.
Because, well, I don't know. I feel like the board should know when, this basically signifies, for conservation, when you're done with your permit, you apply for a certificate of compliance. When you're, same thing for Board of Health. When you, building permit, you, certificate of occupancy. So, we don't have anything in here really that shows,
Closes that loop.
closes out the permit, and maybe that's something that we should look at
I was just gonna say,
adding in here.
Maybe at least for part of, addressing this, but also part of, we never come back with site plan to say we do have you gotta submit as-built and this or that, but as part of our process, we don't close out anything by saying a certificate of completion and maybe that's something we need to start looking into, so it gives us some.
Well, and certainly, I think it makes sense from the stormwater standpoint, it makes a whole lot of sense. So the planning board site plan process is advisory to the building department, really. You aren't issuing a permit for the site plan, you're
to allow for
approving it to allow for construction, or approving it, which then allows the building department to issue a building permit, or whatever. Certificate of, I don't know what it would be without a building, but it would be something. So, maybe that's how we kind of, not that the stormwater bylaw is gonna have the same meat that a occupancy permit does, but at least we would have some ability to close out the project.
Well, it's worth looking, again, I think downstream, it's worth looking into site plan approval in closing that out and having that. And is there a way for us to have some meat on that outside of the building department, giving them, well, you gave them an occupancy, but here's what we want you to go through. You need to submit an as-built. It needs to be certified by an engineer that says it was built to the plan. Any of these things, as part of that, we hold back if we have, if we have some money left in, we hold back, or we require them to put money in until they get that released. Is that something that we can put into site plan review? And maybe it's something that we need to look at. I mean, we've always had this issue of was it built to what they said it was, and we've had people certified that it was and then find out it wasn't.
That's where it says low impact
There's the
design.
low impact design.
Yeah, I feel like those are, all right, I'll work that, I'll talk to the,
That's, I'd almost change the wording, because that, as to what you're doing there and what you're
Exactly.
doing in low impact development,
Are
two different
different.
things. So they both shouldn't be LIDs.
agreed.
Low impact design works there, but it shouldn't be called LID.
Which, oh, I see.
Because the low-impact design is like we're talking about individual features of the,
Yeah, that's truly
Of the
design.
development,
That's truly
exactly.
design, that's not development. You know, that could be LIDE or something if you wanted to keep that, or if you don't specify LID anywhere else to mean low-impact design, just don't give it an LID, just call it low-impact design.
Yeah, I'd go that way.
yeah, let's just do that.
Yes. That works.
Yeah. Without capitals,
Yes.
no capitals.
That's what I took out.
Yeah.
Number 6, it has to be typed out.
Yep, that has to be just typed out now.
LIDs and BMPs.
I hate that they, BMPs refer to.
Yeah. That's
Don't
managed,
don't
yeah.
put design there, Liz, it's low-impact site design.
Oh.
Otherwise you get design site design. There you go. Yeah.
Thank you.
Lovely. Then it can't even be confused with LID.
So traditionally, we haven't focused a lot on LID and making people do that. If that's something that I don't see this changing, dramatically, but
Yeah.
there you go, there, it's in the regulations. Hydraulic basic for the design, standard engineering practice. All right, so this is another area that's a significant change from what was in the previous regulations. This outlines, there's accepted calculations that are done through this EPA region tool, accounting and tracking tool. It's really complicated, and most engineers don't even bother using it because it's easier because it's so complicated that they usually select retaining the volume of runoff equivalent to or greater than the applicable value. The applicable value is set whether or not it is a new development or a redevelopment. Currently, new development is a 1/2 inch. Unless it's a critical area, this bumps it up to 1 inch, which helps us satisfy our phosphorus removal. And requires not 80%, but 90% of the total suspended solids and 60% of the average phosphorus, which the easiest way to get rid of the phosphorus is, or the most efficient way to get rid of it is to infiltrate. So it's going to be, pretty much everybody goes towards infiltration basins when they can anyway. So it'll just be increasing the volume that needs to be infiltrated for new developments. So currently, redevelopments don't have any base standard requirement. The way it reads right now is meet the standards to the maximum extent practical. Now, who's practical
Yeah.
we're talking about, I really don't know. And I can tell you, I argued it very strongly one way when I was on the other side of the table, and I've argued it pretty strongly the other way on this side of the table.
Yeah.
So it's,
There definitely can be different viewpoints on practicable.
So, this requires any redevelopment to, instead of the, does this not have? .8, I gotta check that. If that's right, that's crazy. It's requiring, instead of 1 inch across the site, it's requiring 0.8 multiplied by the total
Yeah.
post-construction impervious surface area.
Only on the redeveloped portion.
Oh,
That's why it's that.
okay.
Where would
Last
you-
word on redevelopment portion of the site. So they're only talking
On-
about what's redeveloped, whatever
On
gets
the
redeveloped.
redeveloped site.
So if it's
Yeah,
already,
but-
impervious,
Yeah, see, I know I asked about, but, because
Well,
I don't know that, well, let me see what redevelopment had. I think redevelopment is in the
I got it
bylaw.
here.
It's in the, you have the bylaw.
Yep. It's lengthy. Development, rehabilitation, expansion, demolition, construction, land alteration, or phased project to disturb the ground surface, including impervious surfaces on previously developed sites. And there's further. Would you like me to continue? It's,
Well, I just, using the car wash as an example, that was arguably a impervious area.
yeah, there was probably no, based on that, in terms of what was impervious before, there was no new impervious on that site.
Right, but how can you not call that a redevelopment?
projects that disturb the ground surface, including impervious surfaces on previously developed sites.
So it sounds to me like it's calling that a redevelopment,
Yep.
which is what it was. You took a parking lot and you redeveloped a
Well,
portion of it.
I guess it would, to me, we would want to, for lack of a better word right now, I can't think of one, penalize them or put them under, if they, whether it was impervious or not before, if it's changing. So if you have a section of a parking lot you're not doing anything to, part of the site, you didn't do anything to it, you added a building that was on impervious, where you did that work, took out the impervious that was there, put a building up, that's part of the redevelopment, you would be subject to whatever the water flow is in that area to the extent possible, meeting what was there.
Where the building,
Where the building's going,
Where
even
the
though it was
building went.
impervious.
right, because the building is the only redevelopment
Right,
area.
yes.
Whereas for the car wash, it would have been the
The whole
whole
thing, because
site.
that's all, yeah, well,
The whole,
if they could keep, and I don't think they did, if they could keep part of the parking lot there that they didn't touch, which I don't think happened, then I would say, no, you don't include that. But every
Right.
part of the building, plus the new grading that was associated to make that work, would be part of the redevelopment site and would fall underneath what was said in here in terms of stormwater.
Matt, were you reading from the stormwater bylaw?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think that's where we want to go. Now, if that's how the definition works, then I'm fine with that.
well, I guess that would be my interpretation
Yeah.
of it. And
Let's make sure it's clear to everybody that way, so someone else doesn't come back to you and say, oh, no, that's not redevelopment.
Refer,
Seems
yeah, so I don't want to change
Shovel on the
that
ground.
right,
anytime
Yes.
soon.
couldn't these,
But we can kind of,
Mirror?
we can see about clarifying redevelopment in
yeah,
here.
let's, so that they mirror each other.
Yeah.
Well, so they're not
No,
not
so,
necessarily mirror, but that it's clear what that is, how we're interpreting what that says, I guess.
yes,
is what I'm
exactly.
I mean, any bylaw's up for any interpretation. It's just ours versus the applicants, and ours always stands.
Yours matters.
Yes.
It's the only one that matters.
And I think that's the whole point, that was the whole point of EPA putting this in, is they don't want to just let people redevelop areas. Like, if you're just repaving or that's different, right? If you can make it a little bit better, great. But if you're redeveloping, in the case of the car wash, you're creating a whole new business, a whole new revenue source. There's no reason you shouldn't be meeting,
Today's standard.
not even quite today's standards,
Yeah.
but almost
As best as
80%.
practicable.
Well, and here they say 80% is practical.
How do you measure that?
Well,
it is.
Yeah, it's legitimately, their calculations, instead of having 1 inch, they can use 0.8.
Okay, I thought it was sort of a conceptual
No.
80%.
I hope you guys planned on being here all night. I don't, this is in here, just, it's a waste if you ask me, but it says you guys can designate additional sensitive areas if you want to at some point in time. The only thing I could think of that you might want to consider including is the Zone 2. Yeah, the Zone 2. But that's kind of already covered under the,
Overlay district?
yeah, so, under the zoning.
That's fine, you can leave it in, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah. This talks about nitrogen removal. I'm still looking at these integrated list of waters and related reports. I don't think we currently have anything that is nitrogen impaired, but if something became nitrogen impaired, they would have to put BMPs that could deal with the nitrogen. I have no idea what biofiltrate, I don't know what that means. Any stormwater management designed to influence shall provide a level of pollutant removal equal to or greater than the level of pollutant removal provided with biofiltration. So I gotta find out from the consultant
Okay.
what the hell that means. Waivers. This was the only area I wasn't sure if you guys wanted to, if they were gonna be asking for a waiver from these regulations. They couldn't meet their 0.8, they tried as they might. They would have to ask for a waiver. I don't know if that would raise you to wanting to have a public hearing? No, okay.
Not me.
I
mean,
It would seem.
I can't imagine somebody coming in from the public that would have enough
Right, the
Exactly.
technical
background
aspect of it
to,
is, yeah.
you know, other than the water's going in my property, I'm not sure that they would understand what this is asking for in terms of removal of phosphorus. So I don't think it needs to go to the level of a
So the only
public
thing,
hearing.
so the only thing I did say is that it needs to be, that needs to specifically be approved by the Stormwater Authority, not by the town engineer.
So that
A waiver.
paragraph C is not going to read like it is?
Nope, that's fine, public meeting, not public
Oh.
hearing.
Okay, mine says hearing, or, I'm sorry, I'm on.
Oh, yeah.
I'm jumping back between.
Yeah, because we,
Yeah.
that's
got
one of
you
the
now.
ones that Matt brought up to me. Construction inspections, this is all, I put everything in here, I think, under, it's my responsibility to go out and do these inspections. And
Don't know if it addresses, if it's big enough, we want to have town engineer or designee, and we can, if we decide that it's big enough, we can charge them for the designee per, you know, if we had a peer review or something, we may want them to do the inspection. Just throwing that out there. And again, I wouldn't stop us from approving this tonight, but it's something that we may want to think about downstream.
If the
Yeah.
project's under a peer review, the peer review would have in their contract inspections usually written into their estimate. But
yeah,
they
it
could
should,
use
this
as their guide.
should say, or storm,
designee.
or designee, yeah.
Okay, okay.
I mean, I can't think of a single instance where,
You haven't, the town engineer hasn't gone out, yeah, I know, I don't know that there is any, but I'm just,
But-
and maybe
but-
some, maybe we may want to try to change what we're doing too, so to the extent that we can allow that, let's try to,
yeah. It makes sense to have it say designee. Formalizing that when you're putting in a stormwater, basically if you're putting in an infiltration basin, I need to see the bottom, just like if it's a septic system, which is not something that's, it's somewhat done with underground detention areas, but not above ground for some reason, so, and it really should be. Yeah, this,
Well, to a certain extent, and again, that may be something we want to look at into that, as they construct any of those are constructed to a certain thickness and stuff, as part of the as-built.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a final grade on top, it should be, what was the grade when you started putting in whatever you're using for gravel or whatever? That's
Exactly.
what we need to have, not just, yeah, I did it to the right grade, and then nothing below it is actually right.
right, you have
So-
5 feet of junk.
Yeah, so, again, that's something that we should probably think about when we talk about it. I don't know that we've ever addressed that, but we
Definitely have not.
but we probably should going forward, so we can pick that up in the new year, but that's. I mean, back in the day when people were doing roads and 12 inches of gravel, and if you didn't go out and look at it, you had 6 inches of gravel, but the final grade was right.
So,
That final inspection piece up above,
Yep.
where it said the 2 years,
yeah, I'm gonna
put
take
a
that
question
out.
mark on that?
Yeah.
It's like, that is a long time for an as-built. It should be like 90 days at most.
Delete.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
I can't read that. I don't have glasses when it gets that small. I can't see.
Liz, I'm sorry, excuse me, folks, did we do, I thought your comment in section 9, paragraph E, about figuring out what actions bring an out of compliance back into compliance, did we cover that yet? I thought you had a good question there.
No, we're,
I'm jumping ahead?
yep,
Sorry.
right, fine. Illicit discharge compliance statement, that is something that, and I don't know which is right or wrong. The property owner has to certify that they are not aware of any illicit, I don't know if discharge is the right word, I think it should be connections, but either way, they're not aware of it. That currently is done as part of the handbook when they file it. I don't know if, in this, I think, says, this is something they want at the end. So when they're done with the project, then they certify that there's no illicit discharge. It doesn't quite make sense to me, but yeah, see, shouldn't this be done prior to the issuance of the permit? For redevelopments, the illicit discharge statement shall also document all actions taken to identify and remove illicit discharges, including without limitation, visual screening, dye, smoke testing. So if you need to do dye and smoke testing, you should be doing that before you start messing around with your drainage, but before you start designing your drainage system.
Yeah, you should. I guess the only reason why it would be after is if you went out there and started digging and you found something that you didn't know was there at all, and then you have to do that after the fact. But you know something's there, you don't know where it goes, then yeah, you should be doing that.
Yeah, so I think maybe we'll have to look at that a little bit closer in the new year and try to put something in the beginning and then they can recertify or something in the end. I don't know.
So do I interpret that conversation to mean that we're not.
I'm gonna leave it how it is right
Oh,
now.
okay.
I think it's too much for us to try and figure out right this second.
I thought maybe it meant that we weren't going to finalize these tonight.
No, we need to.
I'm sorry?
We need to accept them
Yes.
as they are. If we,
Even if there's a couple places we might want to revisit. Okay, good.
I didn't like this, because it's saying that I need to, from use technical or professional engineer shall evaluate the effectiveness of the stormwater during an actual storm and document the findings. I mean, it has happened that we don't get rain for a long period of time.
Yeah.
So, I don't,
They can't test it if it's not raining.
Right.
It doesn't rain.
and so these are some of my comments, like, maybe it should say something like, report on storms over a certain size, say 2 inches of rain over a 24-hour period, something more concrete than that. But again, yeah, it's fine for now, but, I don't,
Hang on to these comments, though, because
Yeah.
they're all very valid points.
inadequacy of the system, this basically says if somebody figures out that a system doesn't work, even though it was designed and constructed properly, that the town can make you fix it.
Good.
Sounds crazy to me, but okay.
I'm not sure how you fix it if it's designed correctly, but it didn't work. It's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
what do I change to?
Right, what do I look at?
This is just clarification with the town's not going to be taking care of your BMPs unless they're in an easement that the town has control over. The subdivision, the BMPs are the responsibility of the owner until the town accepts a,
Actually, I just thought of a situation where it could happen. Because you go out and you do a percolation test to do the thing, you do it in an area, then you put it over the whole area, but yet 5 feet away, the perk rate's totally
Soils,
different.
yeah.
It doesn't work, well, that's on them. You know,
right,
design said it should work, well, it wasn't consistent over the area that you thought it was gonna be.
which I've
It's on
seen
you.
happen.
Yeah, so I guess there is one. Took me a while to come up and.
Well, you worked hard on that.
This just gets more into the inspections.
That's in Mass now.
This is where it says that if the owner fails to do the maintenance, the town can go in and do the maintenance and then charge them. Don't see that happening, but, so,
Check with that, they can charge them, we have to find a way to make sure that that money is, that we can get that back, whether that becomes, whether we have to say that we can put a lien on the property or whatever, just, again, I don't think you need to change it now, but
Right.
we want to think about it downstream in terms of what is the actual recourse mechanism, is it going to be a lien on the property, do we force, how do we do that?
Could
Was that
we go
section
back
10?
to paragraph, or
oh,
section
yeah.
11,
I went
please?
I went past your,
11's there, you were right at 11, weren't you?
Oh, I thought,
No,
you
this
said
was-
9, you were, yeah,
no, I'm about 11.
okay.
And if I'm mistaken, by all means, say so, but shouldn't maybe the title of 11 say illicit discharges and/or connections? Because what if it's not a connection, but just a discharge into a wetland?
Yeah, I didn't like illicit discharge because, as far as I'm concerned, if there's an illicit discharge, that's something that needs to cease immediately.
Right.
Whereas an illicit connection
Okay.
is something that you should have 60 days to eliminate. Now, maybe I'm thinking about it too technically or something, but an illicit discharge to me is the physical act of it happening, no?
So when someone takes their sump pump and just drains it onto the neighbor or into the street?
Yeah, so then that's right, if it's draining into the street,
The drainage system.
if it's draining into the street and it's causing ice,
Yeah.
that's, to me, that's an illicit discharge. You need to stop discharging it to the street
Right.
immediately. You shouldn't have 60 days to stop discharging it to the street.
Or a wetland, without all the proper.
Right. But if you have an illicit connection, so let's say you're not supposed to have your sump pump tied into the sewer system, which you're not, this gives you 60 days, or it would really be more like, it would be more, if you had your pool discharge, if you had a discharge from your pool directly to the drainage system in the street, which does happen,
I'm sure.
crazy, that would be an illicit connection. Because, and obviously you can't just get rid of the connection immediately. You can get rid of the discharge
Yes.
immediately, but not the connection. So,
But what if they're discharging into a drain grate thing? That was very badly worded, but, they stick a hose in the drain,
on the top,
in the street drain.
yeah, that's an illicit discharge and is,
Then they should get rid of, discharge.
there-
So that's
if it's
immediate.
just a
Okay, so that's-
hose, right.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Joe's thinking
Joe is
again.
really.
Yeah, because
he's working on this one.
well, I'm trying to think where, I think for what this stormwater thing would be, I think it's illicit connection.
Is what we should be
is what you-
concerned
Is
about.
what you should be concerned about. Discharges are, I don't think are part of this, they're part of,
This is
town
where,
has the right to.
this is where it falls kind of back into the highway department.
Right, okay, yeah, I'm with you. There's a whole other set of regulations that govern what I was referring to, yeah.
Yeah, it's, I mean, they overlap, and this is where they're converging at this point, but, all right, we're gonna get rid of discharge then. We're gonna leave connections. Okay. Yeah, so this allows, so they put it in here with both connections and discharges, that we can order the elimination of illicit connections or discharges. Which I guess I'm fine with it saying both, but, or do you want me to remove discharges from there?
That's good.
I think you can leave it.
I didn't hear you, Joe?
I think you can leave it in that particular,
It just, yeah,
I mean, I don't know that, again, I don't think we're enforcing it as part of here, we're never gonna catch up to them anyways.
yeah.
But the fact that you have it in there, we can get them one way or another.
Right. If we identify it as a tool.
Criminal violation, $300 a day. Each violation is a separate offense, blah, 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 standard stuff. Non-criminal, $100. The end. No, it wasn't as bad.
I'm sorry, I'm going above non-criminal disposition. Can we say stormwater authority should be the enforcing entity instead of body?
Which one?
Above severability, capital paragraph E. Non-criminal disposition.
As an alternative, the town of Milford may elect to utilize.
She'll be the enforcing entity.
Be the enforcing
Enforcing.
entity. I don't know, that, the word body, I don't know, just seems weird there. Okay, everybody okay with that, entity?
That works.
It's just personal preference.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's just personal preference.
That's 12E. Entity versus body.
Very thoughtful comments, guys.
So if you could, I need a vote to accept the regulations as amended.
I have a motion that someone could read. If you want to so move this, the motion could read to approve the stormwater regulations as amended, made by the town engineer and consultant, subject to additional amendments discussed this evening with the town engineer and subject to review by town council.
So moved.
Covers it all.
I have a question.
Oh.
Sorry,
No.
Certainly allowed,
Yes,
Chair.
of course, Mr. Chairman.
I've been patient, yeah? So what's the next step, Liz, after we vote on this one?
So I think it says in here effective immediately someplace. So I guess that one of my questions was going to be, what is this going to, for the preliminary subdivision? I think that's the only thing that,
They'll be subject to it on final anyways. It's only a preliminary review, so they're gonna be subject
okay,
to
yeah.
it on
All right.
the final submittal. As far as I'm concerned, that,
yeah, no, that
It's a
makes,
separate
and it's
submittal.
not, and it's not a zoning thing, it's not a zoning bylaw, so it doesn't get frozen with that. So
Yeah.
that's anything that has already been approved, wouldn't
Right.
have to meet these. However, anything that isn't constructed within the time frame
Yep.
of the permit,
Yep.
we could certainly not extend a permit. So if they did a site plan review and that expired, you certainly would have the ability to,
Bring those these
yeah.
regulations in.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'd have to do it, depending on where they are in the process, you would figure out exactly what kind of modifications you need, but, yeah, so anything that has a current permit is grandfathered, and until it needs an extension.
to be fair to everybody, should we do this approval subject to a date of December 1st? I mean, we can approve it tonight, but in fact, you couldn't give somebody tomorrow what these regulations say, because you gotta go back and make the changes, as we said, talk to a couple of people. So the document itself wouldn't be ready as of tonight, yet we're forcing somebody to meet those regulations as of tonight. Whereas if we were to make that Friday or December 1st, then you could say, they approved it, here it is, you submitted, now you need to meet these.
Honestly, I would just say the beginning of the, do December 1st, just
December 1st.
because that's the deadline, yeah.
That was the reason for my question, because I think the document needs to have some type of a revision or dated,
Well, it'll be the original, so
yeah.
you better be dated.
Yeah, I wanted to make a cover sheet for it, I just didn't get to it today, but with the seal and have a date so that,
Effective date,
yeah. Actually, and we'll do adopted by the planning board, but today's,
You can, yes.
it would be
because of
adopted
days.
today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very, very good document. One more comment, if I could. And it's me. I mean, I read the whole document. Still not 100% clear to me who the authority is. Okay? I understand the administration part of it. No, I get that, but I think we need to, I know it's a generic, document trying to be in its regulation, but I really think we need to spell that out.
Yeah,
They
so
need to come to somebody. When the state comes in,
it's
somebody.
it's basically you, unless they don't need a permit from you, and they need a permit from the Conservation Commission.
And then it's,
Then it's the Conservation Commission. It's really gonna be very, very rare that you're gonna have the Conservation Commission be the stormwater authority.
And in the
Anyway.
bylaw, it is the planning board.
Okay, but can we spell that out there? I mean, it's not
Well, if we have it as us, then they would, for something that we would not ever see for any reason, but it does have to go to the Conservation Commission, we then have to see it. So what Liz is trying to eliminate is having to have to come to us for something that we would have never normally reviewed.
Like a single-family house or something.
So,
Single-family houses, probably neither one having to do it, but,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's why she's going down this path, which sort of makes sense. I mean, do we really want to see, you know, the one that comes to mind for me would be if the town did Godfrey Brook, relining of Godfrey Brook, it needs a conservation permit. It's
Well,
gonna-
actually, yeah, the right, we just,
Yeah, it's gonna need to meet these regulations. We would never see that. If we're the permit authority, now all of a sudden we have to do a review of the Godfrey Brook rehabilitation. Do we wanna have that here?
which effectively duplicates what the Concom had just done.
More than likely.
right.
So, Matt, did you say?
I get it, I get it. The other reason I wanted to try and keep the Stormwater Authority is that I do think, I wanted to not make, I didn't want to have planning board throughout this whole document, because I do think we're gonna get to a point where the planning board's not the Stormwater Authority. And so I wanted to just try to make it, I guess, a little bit easier to transition to that, but,
Matt, did you say the bylaw, stormwater bylaw says the stormwater authority is the planning board? So are you planning on amending the stormwater bylaw?
no.
No, the
Yet you want the
regulations.
Concom to be the stormwater authority sometimes.
Yeah,
You
the
see what,
I do.
okay.
Yeah, and to that point, and to Joe's point, a lot of times when we do the site plan reviews, right, we get the different departments. Does it instead become a point where now the Conservation Commission becomes a department and we are that last spot where we check everything off, where it still needs to come to us just as that final check off, saying, all right, yep, all these other departments have done their job. Typically, when we do the site plan reviews, fire department, sewer department, water department, within that list, does the Conservation Commission become another check mark? So that way, to Joe's point, we are that authority.
My understanding is these regulations allow the planning board to delegate that responsibility to another commission if it's a project.
Okay.
That we do not have.
Yeah, I'm not, because I'm not seeing a
I think
way.
the planning board
Right.
with the delegation to us.
Right, and again, I'm not trying to
And that
create
makes-
more for us.
No, right,
but as
and
if,
that-
are we the last gatekeeper?
And that makes more sense as to
Yeah.
why this isn't in conflict with the bylaw.
Okay.
But is that the planning board is designating,
Yeah, so,
What is that
I
word?
mean, we'd have to actually, I mean, I'm just kind of a stickler for these things. If the bylaw says planning board is blank, then Concom can't be blank unless we
Well, we're
formally
delegating.
delegate.
We're delegating it
well,
tonight.
it is formally delegated in
Yeah,
the
it's delegated,
regulations.
yeah.
Okay, I missed that part. I was
No, it's fine.
zoning out during that
There
part.
are a couple of instances in here where it formally says if it's not
Okay.
going in front of the planning board for anything else,
The planning board may delegate.
basically to the Conservation
Now,
Commission.
to me, that means we have to make a vote to do so.
That's not the way it's written in the regulation.
The regulations make it clear that it's the commission if it's not a project that comes to us. The regulations
Ye-
are our delegation to the commission in
Then-
those cases.
But then we have to delegate.
The regulations do it for you. By voting to agree to
Yeah,
these
but
regulations.
if we agree to this, the way that it's worded now,
What section?
we're
I'm sorry.
making a delegation now on any of them that wouldn't be coming to us, but are going to the Concom.
I'll find it.
When we went over that part, I wasn't thinking about these other aspects where we're specifically named as Stormwater Authority. I just want to cover this concept of delegation. Sorry. Sorry, I'm being a little bit persnickety.
No, this was a lot for you guys to go over in one, that is an old word.
Application, page 3.
I was gonna say, I thought it had to be, but I think it says it someplace
D.
else too.
D and E, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you say, oh, page 3?
Yep, D right there.
Oh, section 5, part D? I just started reading it.
That's the delegation.
Okay, so it doesn't actually say the word delegate.
No,
Okay, I'm good.
But it's clear. This is stormwater.
no, it effectively states that they are, so
Yeah.
we
Although now
are,
the
we
by-
are delegating per se based
Yeah.
on that.
But now the bylaw and the regulations are sort of kind of in conflict.
No, you guys are the authority, and then in your regulations,
Okay, all right.
We've now delegated,
Right.
My
we've now
persnicketyness
delegated
is over.
based on the wording.
if you fit the right criteria, then you get to, then you're agreeing to delegate to the council.
Yeah, I mean, the choice is you either leave this, to me, the choice is you either leave this like this or you take it out, and each one that comes forward, we would have to say, okay, we're delegating to conservation. Or not. We can be the authority through all of them if we
Right.
want to, but I don't know that we want to do that, but I guess that's the discussion.
I'm good.
I agree. I just wanted to, when somebody's reading a document, I mean,
No, I appreciate that because I didn't think about the difference between the bylaw and it's good to know that they're not in opposition to each other,
Yeah, no, it all works.
so thank you.
okay.
Again, the comments were real thoughtful. Thank you. Good review.
Very good. The document's very good.
We need to change the motion to make December 1st the effective date, I believe.
So the motion could read, to approve the stormwater regulations with amendments made by the town engineer this evening, subject to additional amendments discussed this evening with the town engineer, and subject to review by town council with the effective date,
December 1st,
December 1st.
So moved.
second.
Just quick discussion. Town council is going to have time before this December 1st. timeframe, 'cause that's part of-
So they have seen this at some point, and this is most of the changes that have been made are more technical than anything else. I wrote down the things that town council needs to just double check, but
Because obviously, that December 1st date's coming fast, and especially with the holidays coming.
Sure
too,
is.
So that's why. So, and it's part of the motion, so that's why I want to ensure that they're going to have time, because if we're giving them the authority to, let's make sure that it happens
Yes.
before December 1st.
yeah. Yeah, I don't foresee there being any big changes or anything that would, nothing that we need to have it in.
We don't have another scheduled meeting before December 1st. And that's the
No, I
other
know,
thing,
and that, but,
too.
so.
we've
if
we're
he
adopting these as they're written
Yes,
now. So
basically.
if town council has any changes,
Then we're
it's going to
going
have to
to-
be for the next meeting.
Right, so then, if it's something that he
right.
feels is,
Yeah, we can do that too. The one nice thing is this is ours.
Yes.
Correct.
So we can
Exactly.
change it in January if we
So-
find out
you
there's
can,
something.
right, if there's
Yep.
something dramatic that needs to
Exactly.
get changed, then we change it in January
That's fine.
and we're done.
Okay.
Anybody else? All right. We have a vote on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.
Unanimous.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you,
Uh,
Pat.
And then a quick question, as we develop along for changes, who's the gatekeeper for changes and knowing that we want to go over like the fee schedule for one?
We have to put that on our agenda.
Good point. Could we?
Yeah, we'll put it on our
Yeah,
agenda.
I would say if you want to
Specific
talk about it, you need to tell him
Yeah, certainly.
so that he can put it on the agenda.
Even
Right, okay.
If it's a conversation you want us to have about,
Yeah.
most of the information is going to be with me,
Right.
but he
But yeah, and
puts
there
it
was
on
all,
the
you know,
agenda.
there were different points tonight of like, hey, we need more clarity.
Yeah.
We at least, we're looking for that December 1st implementation date with a handful of changes. So just someone needs to be the gatekeeper and to ensure that we can continue to go through those.
Right, he's gonna put it on the agenda.
Yep.
And if you want to discuss something,
Yeah,
I'm just saying, if there's something that comes up, then just let me know.
of course. Yeah.
And, you know, we can talk about it, whether or not it's something that needs to come to the whole, be discussed at a meeting, or if it's something that we can just, if
If this was going to be revised, it has to go through that process anyways, that's why. So, and it sounds like they were, at least from the fee side of it,
Yes.
most likely there, and then some other verbiage
There's-
in here could have some potential changes also, too.
Yes.
So that's all.
Yep.
So we'll also be discussing the schedule of fees, all of that?
Yes. Yeah.
That document?
Yeah, well, I'll amend this by adding the stormwater fees, and then we can discuss changing any of these as we go. I'll put that on our next agenda.
All right, great. Moving
You're gonna
on.
need to.
Final
you need to probably put
inspection.
that. I mean, if you were gonna discuss that, you probably need to spend some time looking at fee schedules from other towns and stuff, so.
Oh, yeah, for
I
sure.
I wouldn't expect that, you know,
6 weeks.
so, yeah.
I'm
Give
gonna
yourself
tell,
enough time.
I'm gonna tell you, not in the time that I've been here, not that there's been a lot of subdivisions, but $100 per lot in a residential subdivision, final inspection? We haven't been charging that.
Meaning you've been charging more?
We haven't been charging anything. $2.50 per linear, I didn't know it was on here. $2.50 per
Well, we
linear
should.
foot of subdivision road
If we
frontage.
can get the taxes down a little bit.
Yeah. We're gonna charge Sunila for that right now.
School is coming.
I did, oh, Sunila, I can't, I'll wait till my turn.
All right, so let's move on. Town planner updates?
And the update I had was regarding the fee schedule, and we'll put that on our next agenda.
Okay.
We have some new items coming on our next agenda. We have a preliminary subdivision. We also have an 81P for the Rod and Gun Club that was approved at town meeting. They're getting rid of that old strip of Whale Street or McGill Lane or whatever it's called. So those will be on
Both.
our next agenda. Yeah.
What's that? Both McGill, it's a portion of McGill and a portion of Wales.
So those are coming up.
Okay. Any town engineer updates?
Field Pond Road, Sunila, the never-ending subdivision up there was final paved on Friday, last Friday. They made significant improvements to the drainage system so that we can get into the catch basins. Been working diligently with the highway department to get that as straightened out and as possible. The next thing is to work on the retaining wall on Barbara's Way. That is not exactly,
Retaining?
yeah. It appears as though it was probably just not compacted as they backfilled, so it caved in a bit. But anyway, just wanted to let you know there was progress on there. The residents are thrilled.
Or what?
Thrilled.
Okay.
Who's doing the work?
A1 Paving did the paving, and Jones did all of the catch basin work. Reset curbing, it was,
Who's the owner now? Is it just part of
it's still,
the state, effectively?
no, because it was,
Oh.
it's, this was, the subdivision was under Mirage,
Yep.
not Mujib.
Oh,
Mujib had some of the lots, which that's all
okay.
I don't even know it's the estate, because his son's part of the business. Mujib's son is part of that business. That's all I have.
Okay. On the chairman updates, Babe Minnan is not here today. I don't have anything. I don't have anything, so let's talk about the next meeting.
So I was looking at that, and it would normally be the 9th and 16th, right? I mean, excuse me, 9th and 2nd and 16th.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I thought it
Yeah,
was
I
the
don't know where I was at
second.
there. 2nd and 16 would be the normal dates. This,
When do you guys, you normally only meet once?
Yeah.
And
would be the
then,
16th?
So the one thing with the preliminary subdivision is we have 45 days to render a decision, and we just got it last week. So that'll put them right up to January. If they'll agree to an extension, we could do that. So we'll be seeing it for the first time. I didn't put it on this agenda because I wanted our town departments to get all their feedback in, and hopefully they'll have all that in for our first preliminary meeting. And if the applicant's not agreeable to extension, that's kind of their own problem. We'll just shoot it down.
When did it come in, Matt? I'm
Came
sorry.
in last week, Tuesday or Wednesday.
So it doesn't, it doesn't matter which December date you choose.
Yeah.
Right.
I would say more so, is everybody available on both dates?
Yes. 9th or 16th, we said?
No,
Second.
Second or
Second or 16th.
second or 16th.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't know, I just thought the 16th, because it's kind of in the middle of the month, not, which is actually probably irrelevant, but.
I like it.
16th?
16th's fine.
16th.
You got nothing else, right? So we don't have, there's nothing that has to go before us on the 2nd.
We have a ZBA referral. I don't know when their next meeting is.
Oh,
We do have one of those.
I won't say anything.
It's a setback one, similar, putting a garage on.
I'm sure they usually meet the second.
Yeah, I don't think the 16th will be past their meeting, I believe.
Yeah.
It's all right. Comments, you think you're gonna get comments back for the 2nd, for the preliminary?
No,
I mean, for a preliminary.
no, you're not gonna.
I asked for town department feedback by the, what'd I say? 26th or the 25th, something next week.
I mean,
Maybe we'll
we're
have-
not even, we're not even around.
Yeah.
When?
Good point.
Like, we have time off in the next,
You what?
you know.
Are you both here on the 16th? I mean, I don't care, I just threw it out
Yeah,
there.
no, I think, I'm thinking the 16th makes a lot more sense. I'm thinking the 2nd doesn't make,
Well, it's probably more important to have, to give the preliminary subdivision as much information as we can, so I
Yeah,
would think
but-
the 16th would be better than
Yeah.
worrying about a referral to the ZBA that's,
gonna be ignored.
yeah, it's gonna be read into the records.
Said that one out loud, didn't you?
I heard that.
Our
16th.
next meeting will be December 16th. Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Hi.
Thank you. Good night.
They can.